And let's turn back to the breaking news out of London and the resignation of UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
To do that, we're going to bring in retired Brigadier General, Deputy Military Rep to NATO, and Newsmax contributor, one of our favorite guests, Blaine Holt, for his insights. Welcome back, General Holt.
Good morning. I'm happy to hear that.
Well, we're happy to have you with us. But let's dive right in here because breaking news of the day, of course, Boris Johnson's resignation that happened very, very quickly, announced just before 7 a.m. this morning, of course, in the UK. Let's call on your expertise for a moment as the deputy rep from NATO. What are your thoughts on what led to this ultimate downfall of Boris Johnson?
Well, internal domestic politics, Prime Minister Johnson has been just swirling in controversy since he broke his own rules on COVID, and it never got better. All of the ministers felt like he was moving the goalpost on them. A lot of them would learn about their own issues in the papers, and it just created a downfall. The problem is, how does this impact the war in Ukraine? Zelensky found almost his greatest friend in Europe and the United States in Boris Johnson, who came several times to Ukraine to assess the situation. And the UK has really been in the lead about trying to get logistics support. So I imagine in Kiev right now, they're asking themselves, where does this leave us? And how quickly will the UK government provisional put their arms around us?
Yeah, I think you have a good point too. The other thing too is I think people are wondering about what does this mean for the strength of the UK on the world stage, because Boris Johnson has had a really good relationship with former President Trump, and he's got a good relationship with our current president, but there are a couple of names that are being thrown in the ring there for that. But again, what does this mean for UK on the world stage?
You know, it's the old rule. If you stare at the rearview mirror long enough, you're going to hit something in front of you. And what we have to look at is how Russia's going to play this. I would imagine Russian clandestine services by the FSB that are stationed in the UK are going to be working overtime on influence operations to get them to a different place. Because the strong showing of the Johnson government at both the NATO summit and the G7 were very unequivocal about support for Ukraine. And you can already see that Medvedev in the papers today is throwing rocks at Johnson and declaring that this is the first of many houses in Europe to fall. So they're going to make the most of this.
Yeah, and General Holt, speaking of Russia, as you just mentioned, shifting gears a bit here, the U.S. is still looking very keenly and wondering what is going to be happening with the potential release of that WNBA player, Brittany Griner, in Russia. We learned that the president did speak with Griner's wife about her arrest in Russia. The president apparently intends to write a letter to Griner. He's saying he's working hard to get her back home. We know this is a delicate matter. This is complicated. It's not simply like, hey, yeah, bring her back. No big deal. But is the president doing enough here? Is there more that could have been done? But also, this has been going on since February. And all of a sudden now it seems to be urgent.
Yeah, so she's brought up on charges that on their surface look legitimate. We don't know what those are.
Good point.
But I would expand this to there's 59 wrongfully detained Americans around the world, many or a few in countries that call themselves allies to us. Even in Russia, we've got Paul Whelan, who the Whelan family today has to go, well, I get it, Brittany's a WNBA player. What about our plight as well? And so I would encourage not just the president, but the State Department to raise the issue, embrace the James Foley Foundation, and really say that the whole of government is working to get all these people back. Will the president go to Saudi Arabia and UAE on his next trip and ask for our 4 Americans back from those countries? And I don't wish Ms. Griner anything but a safe return home as soon as possible. I would just say that this is just a small part of a much bigger issue where our State Department needs to get much more deeply engaged.
Yeah, very quickly, about 30 seconds. You just mentioned the State Department getting engaged. Is that the answer? Because we've got Americans in other countries as well. Then you talk about Russia. I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to want to negotiate or even talk to President Biden based on what's happening now.
Right. So, I mean, there's always, if you get these things into the back channels, you've got a much better opportunity to make a deal. They clearly want Victor Bout back, who's a weapons dealer. And then if Griner and Whelan were to come home and Victor Bout to go, and that could happen in a back channel, you probably have a greater chance of success than throwing rocks at each other in the papers.
Yeah. All right. Well, General Holt, always great to have you. Great insight as usual. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you all. Have a great day.
All right. We'll be right back. You're watching